What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Some boxing news. Sugar Shane Mosley, 41 years of age, is set to unretire to face Pablo Cesar Cano in Cancun, Mexico. My thoughts on this: I don't want to see Sugar Shane unretire. I'm not big on fighters who don't know when to hang him up and end up tarnishing their legacy or their body of work. And I think Sugar Shane Mosley is definitely on the path of that if the process has not already started. Um, Fighters like Roy Jones Jr. I'm a huge Roy Jones Jr. fan. Growing up as a kid, I used to watch him and I was impressed. I liked his showmanship, his boxing ability, his speed, etc. But now Roy Jones Jr., I can't even really watch his fights. I like him as a commentator, but fight-wise, I don't even want to watch his fights because I'd rather remember Roy Jones for how I saw him growing up. And I don't like to see fighters who are just out of prime facing guys who beat them solely based on the fact that they're out of prime and they're no longer um, the force that they once were. And I think Roy Jones Jr. is an example of that. And like I said, I don't want to see Mosley tarnish his legacy. And you got to keep in mind, we're in a different era. It's a different generation. Shane Mosley's been in there with everybody. He hasn't ducked anybody, and he's fought some stiff competition. Oscar De La Hoya's, the Canelos, Pacquiao, Mayweather, Cotto, Winky Wright. I mean, he's been in there with some great competition, some hard hitters, some legendary Hall of Famers themselves. And he's been in there. He mixed it up with all of those dudes. And the thing with Mosley that I fear is we're in a different generation. So all of his, in my opinion, his past accomplishment is the best indication of his body of work. If you were to look at Mosley as a recent memory, you probably wouldn't be that impressed. So for the younger generation, they're not going to know the Shane Mosley that I know. Like the people who are real young and just maybe getting into boxing and haven't done their homework, they're not going to remember Shane Mosley as being a feared boxer. They're going to remember what they last saw. And again, this is the technological age. We got iPads and iPad minis, social networks, Twitters, Instagram, all kinds of stuff like that. And ultimately, I think a portion of Shane Mosley will get lost just because he's currently fighting and he's not the same caliber of fighter that he once was. And I don't think some of the young 18, 19-year-old, 22-year-olds, and I'm not trying to stereotype because there's a lot of young cats who do their boxing research, but I feel for, in the grand scheme of things, by and large, there's going to be a lot of people who don't remember Shane Mosley for prime Shane Mosley. They're just going to remember his fight with Pacquiao or Mayweather or Canelo because that's their era. They just started watching boxing or whatever. So as far as Mosley, I don't want to see him fight again, but in the boxing world, different fighters continue to fight for different reasons. Some have a chip on their shoulder, feel they have something to prove, or um, they might be in a financial pinch where Mosley needs money. I know he went through a big divorce, so he probably had to pay um, his ex-wife, that kind of thing. So he could be fighting for money. He could be fighting for pride. Who knows? But either one, I wish he would have managed his money better if that's the situation. And if you're fighting for pride, you don't have to because you already have the respect of the dedicated boxing fans, most of them. So I don't think it does much for his career. That's another thing. Shane Mosley versus Cano, if he beats him, what does that prove? I don't think that puts him in the mix to get a Pacquiao rematch, a Mayweather rematch, a Canelo rematch. So beating Cano, what is that going to prove? Someone who was formerly fighting at 140 in recent memory, moved it up in weight, outweighed Paulie Malignaggi, didn't make weight, so he wasn't eligible for the title. And I think Cano should have beat Malignaggi. Let's be clear on that. If you go to my old post-fight video, I'll try to put it in the video responses. I said that. I thought Malignaggi lost that fight, but he had the hometown crowd favorite. It was a close fight. Cano didn't do himself any favors by getting a very slow start, but I thought what he did towards the stretch was enough to win by maybe 1 or 2 rounds, and he knocked Malignaggi down. So, in my opinion, I think in a close fight, Cano should have won. And he's a solid competitor. He's been in there with Eric Morales, so I'm not even saying he doesn't have a shot to beat Mosley. My whole point is it does more for Cano's career if he beats Mosley than it does for Mosley's career if he beats Cano. And that's my opinion. Again, Sugar Shane Mosley, Hall of Famer. Just don't want to see him continue to fight. I did see some pictures um, last year, and it looked like he had put on some weight. It didn't look like the Sugar Shane Mosley physique that I'm used to seeing. And he's a gym rat, so I don't really have many doubts that he can't get back into shape. But all of that age, attrition, getting out of shape, inactivity, because Shane Mosley hasn't fought since Cinco de Mayo. Um, he fought Canelo on the Mayweather Cotto card. So by May 18th, it'll been over a year that he hasn't been in the ring. So honestly, I don't really want to see Mosley continue to fight. The inactivity, the age, being 41. There's certain fighters like Bernard Hopkins, and he's a freak of nature. Bernard Hopkins is fighting at a high level at age 48, excuse me. He's fighting people like DeVorce Cloud, who's a feared puncher, and he's taking away his best tools. Mosley's not that type of fighter, in my opinion. He's not the type of fighter that's going to think with his head first. He has a solid granite chin, and he's going to slug it out, and if he gets hit, he's going to want to come back. He's not going to fight as smart as someone like Bernard Hopkins. Therefore, his fighting style is not going to mesh well with people that are bigger, like if he were to move up to 154, or just someone who's just going to outskill him, outbox him, young and hungry dudes. So I don't want to see Mosley tarnish his legacy by continuing to fight. Let me know what you guys think. Mosley versus Cano. I'm definitely putting that one on the back burner. Lucas Matisse versus Peterson supposed to be on the same date, and trust me, I want to see that way more than I want to see Mosley come back. And that's not a knock on Mosley. Again, I'm a longtime fan of Mosley, but I think he should hang him up, leave the legacy intact how it is, and maybe focus on training his son, focus on doing promotional stuff, and basically furthering the sport of boxing in other ways. Become a trainer even. I think he would probably be good at that. So that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think about Shane Mosley. Should he continue to fight? Are you anxious for Pablo Cesar Cano versus Mosley? Hate, comment, subscribe. Till next video, Ego signing off.